President Kiir congratulates the national basketball team for defeating Egypt and the Democratic Republic of Congo in Tunisia. Troika and IGAD commend the government for graduating the first batch of the unified forces. And Governor Aleu inspects the flood-affected persons in Twitch in Warab State. Hello dear viewers of SSBC, welcome to this evening edition coming to you live from the capital Juba with me Bakita Kundigabim, and now the news in detail. President Kiir commended the national basketball team for defeating Egypt and the Democratic Republic of Congo in Tunisia. During a meeting with the players in Juba on Wednesday, the president said the government would build a sports facility to promote sports in the country. Jacqueline Perino reports.
The national basketball team arrived Juba from Tunisia on Monday after playing 3 games for the qualification of the upcoming World Basketball Tournament next year. The team was received at Juba International Airport by the Minister of Presidential Affairs, Barnaba Marial Benjamin, and hundreds of sport fans in Juba. And on Wednesday, President Kiir met with the national basketball team, which was accompanied by the senior presidential advisor Paul Manyang-Jok and the Minister of Youth and Sports Albino Boldiu in his office. President Kiir commended the basketball team on their latest victory over Egypt and Democratic Republic of Congo in Tunisia. The president also assured the Minister of Youth and Sports that the government will build a sports facility to promote sports in the country.
I want to congratulate you for the victory that you have scored, and you raised our heads. We are now looking very high, looking down at everybody. As young as we are, the same thing that you are young people in a young country.
On his part, advisor Paul Manyang appreciated the patriotic move by most of the players who came back to play for their motherland.
Mr. President, these are your people here, and we'll encourage them definitely, help them to, because what are they in other parts of the world, in America, in London, and where there's nothing like home. We sacrifice our lives. As mentioned by both, leaving what we were doing, jobs, we went to the bush, fighting, and that was a place of death. Sacrificing our lives so that we liberate our people.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Youth and Sports, Albino Boldiu, commended the support rendered by the Office of the President to facilitate the team to Tunisia, adding that sport is the only factor that will unite the people of South Sudan.
But to me, I'm telling them that we have to win all the games unbeaten, and we are going to do that, Your Excellency, with your help. So the issue of budgeting for their trip and for their early preparation is what can give us the same victory. And also I'm appealing to Your Excellency that if these fellows comrades manage to go to the World Cup, Your Excellency, you need to lead them to the World Cup, to the opening ceremony, because you are the head of the state, you are the patron of the youth and the sport, and that's why you brought them to your office this morning.
And the president of South Sudan Basketball Federation, Luol Deng, appreciated the president of the Republic for encouraging and cheering them up, especially during their games. Meanwhile, the coach of the national basketball team, Royal Ivy, said they are not only winning but also uniting the people of South Sudan.
When we landed, I've never ever in my life since independence experienced anything like it. And it just shows how much our people are willing to support us and for us to be together and for us to be united. It's bigger than basketball. It's about uniting the people of South Sudan, and that's our challenge, and that's our obstacle, and that's how we approach every day when we're on that court. So it's definitely been an honor and a privilege to be a part of this, and I'm thankful. So thank you again.
The South Sudan national basketball team is left with only one game to qualify for the upcoming World Basketball Tournament. Jacqueline Perino, SSBC News, Juba.
President Kiir met with the Archbishop Dr. Justin Badi Aramo on Wednesday. The Minister of Presidential Affairs, Dr. Barnaba Mirel Benjamin, said the Archbishop delivered a letter to President Kiir from the Anglican Archbishop of Centerburg. Archbishop Justin Badi commended the President for the progress made in the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement, especially the graduation of the necessary unified forces. Archbishop Justin said they will continue to pray for peace in the country. The Archbishop thanked God for the victory of the national basketball team in Tunisia.
The Primate was able to hand a letter from the Archbishop of Canterbury to His Excellency President Salva Kiir Mayardit, which was given to the President, and the messages that the Archbishop and the Primate passed on to the President was the basis of the meeting. The Primate was able also to appreciate and thank the efforts that the President is doing towards the unity of the people of South Sudan and towards the graduation of the unified army. Equally, the President encouraged the unity and togetherness of the Church, and the Primate was able to brief him about the crisis that happened recently in the Episcopal Church of South Sudan.
We also express our gratitude and thanks to His Excellency the President for the positive steps that we are seeing are happening. One of it is the graduation of the unified forces, which has been long expected. It has happened yesterday, and we want to thank God and to say to our President, thank you for that. And also for the basketball team from South Sudan that went around and was very successful. Those are all things we need to thank God for. And I also briefed the President about ECS and how things are generally going within ECS, of which the President listened and appreciated us for coming and for having the time together. We continue to pray for our country, South Sudan.
The Ministerial Economic Cluster, chaired by Vice President Dr. James Wanega, listened to a presentation by the Minister of Mining, Martin Aboja, on geological mapping of South Sudan, construction of the office block and procurement of equipment, as well as establishment of geological laboratory. The cluster also listened to a presentation by the National Minister of Finance and Planning, Dier Tongor, on the country's economic policy. Speaking to the media, the Deputy Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Lily Albina Kolakol, said the Minister of Wildlife Conservation and Tourism also presented a concept note on the second Heritage Expo 2022 in Bujumbura in Burundi.
The cluster approved that the Minister of Mining should join the center, and also urged the Minister of Finance to avail funding for membership fees to the tune of 65,000 USD. The cluster also listened to a report that was presented by the Honorable Minister of Finance, and it was a report on the economic policy dialogue that was held by the cluster together with help from a Frontier Consulting, which is a think tank organization. And the report made about 7 recommendations in different areas. The first area is improvement in the mining sector, and also improvement in oil exploration, reduction of inflation rate, improvement in agricultural sector, investment programs, and also encouraging the youth and women by availing funds for them to do some small businesses, as well as effective resource mobilization and disciplined budget control. There was a presentation by the Honorable Minister of Wildlife and Tourism, and he presented a proposed participation of the Republic of South Sudan in the East Africa Regional Tourism Expo that is scheduled for next month, and it will be taking place in Burundi. South Sudan will participate fully in the expo, and it will cover areas of wildlife, biodiversity, culture and heritage, hospitality and catering, tours and travel, as well as agro-tourism.
Vice President Taban Dengai and the Ethiopian Minister of Defense, Abraham Bilay, discussed the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. Speaking to SSBC, Ambassador Nabil Mahdi said they discussed connecting the two countries with roads and electricity. The President in the office of the Vice President, Kwaj Kau Madol, said the Vice President requested Ethiopia to continue supporting the government and people of South Sudan.
They discussed on a lot of issues of common interest, especially the situation back home in Ethiopia. Then they agreed that the need of enhancing the bilateral historical relationship. The second important issue they had discussed is on the infrastructural linkage of the two countries, especially finally they discussed that the two governments will have an agreement, government to finance the multi-sectoral projects in both electricity.
The two leaders also discussed the road project and the electricity connectivity between Ethiopia and the Republic of South Sudan. His Excellency, the Vice President, appreciates the Ethiopian government for making sure that they will also bring peace among themselves, and the commitment of the government to make sure that they are committing to bring the lasting peace in Ethiopia. He also assured the Ethiopian minister and the delegation that the Ethiopian peace is also peace to South Sudan, to the region, and also to the whole continent.
Vice President Rebecca Nyandeng Demabur and the UN Humanitarian Coordinator Sarah Baislow discussed the flight of the displaced persons in Panyuka County in Upper Nile State. In a statement to SSBC, Sarah said they also discussed gender-related issues.
We discussed issues around gender, women's participation, and engagements around upcoming conference and upcoming opportunities for women's voices to be heard. We also discussed very briefly the situation that has resulted from the clashes in Tonga with displaced persons in Adiliang, where I was recently on Sunday and Monday, where I visited these displaced persons to see our humanitarian response and to understand from them how we can better support them. I was also in Malakal, where I shared with her my observations. We had a very fruitful conversation and look forward to continuing to engage with Mama Rebecca.
Legislators led by the Speaker of the Council of States, Deng Akon, left for South Africa to participate in the annual conference of speakers of African parliaments. Speaking to SSBC at Juba International Airport, legislator John Okech-Louis said the conference is expected to announce new policies to promote food and security and unity of African nations.
We are heading for a very important meeting in South Africa. This meeting is important in legislation in all the countries of Africa, particularly the Southeastern Group. We will be there by tomorrow morning, and we will have a 2 days conference, whereby we'll get used to some of our brothers in other countries in order for us to coordinate whatever is important for lifting our country and the countries of our neighbors, which we share together.
Troika and IGAD have commended the government for graduating the first batch of the Unified Forces. The chairperson of the National Transitional Committee, Tut Gelwag, reiterated President Kiir's commitment to fast-track the implementation of the remaining provisions in the peace agreement. Gore Anthony reports.
Troika countries, IGAD envoy and the regional bodies applauded the unity government and the leadership of National Transitional Committee for the tremendous well-done job for completing the graduation of the first batch of the necessary unified forces to boost the country's security and stability. Ambassadors representing Troika countries who converge on the office of the chairperson of National Transitional Committee in Juba on Tuesday said the graduation of the unified forces signifies a crucial step in the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement.
The Troika have had a very useful exchange with His Excellency, the Chairman. We talked about the first stages of the graduation, which happened yesterday. So the graduation of forces is a critical first step. Everyone's been very clear about that for the stability and security of this country, it is essential that a unified force is graduated. And yesterday's progress towards that was good. We all know that it's later than everyone wanted, but it had to happen and it has started. That in itself is not the end of the process, so we need to see further things happen. But for every long road, there has to be a first step, and that is what happened yesterday.
IGAD Special Envoy to South Sudan and Sudan, Dr. Ismail Wais, discussed with the chairperson of National Transitional Committee, Tut Galwak, the next move as far as the security arrangement is concerned, especially the completion of the process of graduation in Upper Nile, Bahr al-Ghazal regions, and some part of Equatoria. Dr. Ismail Wais also called on the graduated unified forces to be professional, committed in defending the constitution and the territorial integrity of South Sudan.
And I expressed my sincere congratulations to him, the very good work that the people and the government of South Sudan have done it. And I would also like now to express sincerely here in public my sincere thanks and congratulations to the government and to the people of South Sudan. Now, it is these soldiers who are expected to protect the people, the sovereignty, the integrity of this country, and the people and the property of the citizens of this country.
The chairperson of National Transitional Committee, Tut Galwak, who is also the presidential advisor on national security affairs, while meeting with the Ethiopian delegation headed by the Defense Minister, Dr. Abraham Deli, in a move to boost security and strengthen relations between Juba and Addis Ababa. The meeting also focused on following up some of the implementation on crucial issues that were agreed upon between South Sudan delegation who visited Addis Ababa recently. Gore Anthony, SSBC News, Juba.
Thank you, Gore Anthony, for that insight. And now moving on, the Minister of Presidential Affairs, Dr. Barnaba Muriel Benjamin, and the Israeli Ambassador Karshon Kadar discussed the relations between the two countries. Speaking after the meeting, the Deputy Director General in the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Einat Shelin, said Israel will help develop South Sudanese agriculture and health sectors as well as empowering women. She said Israel would establish a trauma healing center at Juba Teaching Hospital soon.
Tomorrow we will inaugurate a trauma center, ICU unit in Juba Hospital, which we are contributing to the people of South Sudan from the people of Israel. We believe strongly in this relationship. We're talking about opportunities for development, be it in agriculture or women empowerment, innovation, and so on and so forth. We are interested in working with you and sharing with you.
Yes, still on this news hour. Let's go for this news break. We shall be right back. President Kiir congratulates the national basketball team for defeating Egypt and the Democratic Republic of Congo in Tunisia. Troika and IGAD commend the government for graduating the first batch of the unified forces. And Governor Aleu inspects the flood-affected persons in Twitch in Warab State. Welcome back from that short break, and now proceeding. The Minister of Foreign Affairs, and International Cooperation, Meiga Yiding, held a series of meetings with IGAD's Special Envoy, Eritrea Ambassador, and Israeli delegation in Juba on Wednesday. Take Stephen Ogut reports.
The Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Meiga Yiding, met in his office with IGAD's Special Envoy, Dr. Ismail Weiss, and discussed the implementation of the revitalized peace agreement. In his statement to SSBC after the meeting, Dr. Weiss said IGAD congratulates the people and leaders of South Sudan for graduating the necessary unified forces, as it shows the political will for full implementation of the revitalized peace agreement.
I would also like to express the thanks of the IGAD leadership in general and the Secretariat in particular to the leadership of the Republic of South Sudan. We know that the President Salva Kiir Mayardit and even the first Vice President promised the people of South Sudan that they will not take this country back to war. Now, since yesterday, we are one step forward and ahead of this position. So now it is very clear that we hit the road of peace and security. Why? Because the unification of forces on Chapter 2, the transformation of the security arrangement, is the backbone of the peace agreement.
In a separate news development, Minister Maik also met with the Eritrean ambassador to South Sudan, Johannes Tekle-Michael, and discussed bilateral relations between Juba and Asmara. Ambassador Tekle-Michael also seized the opportunity to deliver an invitation for a possible visit by South Sudan's Minister of Foreign Affairs to the state of Eritrea. Minister Maik also received a delegation from Israel led by head of Mashaf, Ambassador Einat Schlein. The delegation briefed the minister about the planned inauguration of an ICU unit within Juba Teaching Hospital that is funded by the government of Israel. Ambassador Einat also said that her country is interested to increase its developmental projects in the country in areas of agriculture, education, innovation, and women empowerment.
We're here to inaugurate an ICU unit which we built in the Juba Hospital that would provide emergency care treatment for the people of South Sudan, a gift from the people of Israel. We're here because South Sudan means a lot to us. It's an important country, and we are grateful for the friendship that you show us bilaterally and also multilaterally in the international organizations, be it the UN or anywhere else. We feel strongly that the bonds that exist for decades between us are strong and will continue as we would continue to develop the relationship and offer cooperations on issues such as agriculture, health, education, innovation, and women empowerment.
Reporting for SSBC, Tex Stephen.
The National Ministry for Health, in collaboration with partners, have convened a workshop on neglected tropical diseases in Juba on Wednesday. The purpose of the workshop is to increase support programs to eliminate the neglected tropical diseases in the country. SSBC's Edward Stephen has more in this report.
The National Ministry for Health, alongside the stakeholders drawn within the country and the region, converged at Farm Africa Hotel in Juba to gang up support to advocate for the elimination of neglected tropical diseases, which remains a threat to humanity in the country. Addressing the symposium, the National Minister for Health, Honorable Yolanda Aweldeng, said the ministry has acknowledged the risks posed by the entities and is working closely with the health partners to reduce morbidity, disability, and mortality rate across the country.
As Minister of Health, we collectively acknowledge the burden of NTDs in our country. Every county is endemic to at least one of NTD. Our current strategy for management of these entities is preventive chemotherapy, as we have heard, using mass drug administration for non-PC NTDs, case management and transmission control.
The representative of the World Health Organization, Moses Ongom, who spoke on behalf of the country's director, said over 9 million people are at risk of NTDs as they remain endemic to human lives, calling on the government and stakeholders to join the battle of elimination.
17 out of the 20 WHO prioritized neglected tropical diseases continue to be endemic in South Sudan, including onchocerciasis, trachoma, schistosomiasis, soil-transmitted helminths, lymphatic filariasis, sleeping sickness, puri ulcer, visceral leishmaniasis, leprosy, and genital worm.
Meanwhile, the representative of the donors, Mr. Johannes, called for a concerted efforts from the international donors to support the Ministry of Health in the fight against the NTD.
The situation in South Sudan is a bit particular. There are quite some challenge to reach to everyone in the most remote areas.
These diseases are indeed painful, they are horrible, and they limit people's economic ability. They also cause a lot of social stigma. So the effort that we are all putting to fight these diseases is really important and should be really carried forward.
Despite the challenges in the health sector, the National Ministry for Health said it had undergone several transformations in reducing the risk of the neglected tropical diseases by use of chemotherapy medicines. However, there is still need for more actors to join the battle to cover the first regions of the country. Edith Stephen, SSBC News, Juba.
Heavy rains have damaged houses and displaced thousands from their homes in Awil South County in northern Barkazal State. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Peter Mayan Mujungit, said the government will work with 8 agencies to address the plight of the flood-affected persons. Mario Suleiman has more on this story.
The National Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Disaster Management, Peter Mayan Mujungit, and Northern Barkazal State Governor Tonga Kengor inspect flood-affected areas in Awil South County. Minister Mayan Mujungit described the situation as dangerous. He said the government would cooperate with the non-governmental organizations to address the crisis.
Which is basically no shelter, no food, no health facility, and it is a responsibility of all of us to ensure that they at least can be able to have a bread on the table so that they can be able also to have somewhere where they can lay their head down. This is a reality, and the reality we're facing today can be seen. And I welcome everybody to come to Northern Barkazal, to come to visit any part of the country, to visit this situation. We as a government, we must work today to ensure that the life of those vulnerable community are saved, because now we are at peace and the country, we have a consensus, we are politically stable. It's time now to address our disasters. فالقضية الآن نحن كجنوب السودان بنطالب من كل المنظمات الشغالة في القطاع المدني، الشغالة في UN وشغال في أي محل، أن نحن حاجة بتاعنا حاسة أن نحن نقدر نخرج جنوب السودان من وضع الرهن.
Governor Tonga Kengor called upon the national government to support the flood-affected people. He declared that flood had affected all the counties in the state, especially in the farmlands.
البيوت كلها وقعت وفي تأثير كبير خالص في الحيوانات الحليفة وفي تأثير يعني في المزارع.
The Commissioner of Awil South County, Luka Dundal, said that more than 5 people were reported dead and waterborne disease and snake bites.
Awil South, because Awil South it is one of the county mainly affected by the water, because the county has a red payam, but among 7 payam are seriously affected because the big part of the area of Awil South is still under the low area of the water. And we have, based on our assessment made by the county government and RRC and agriculture department, the 7 payam of Awil South County are being severely affected. The houses collapsed, the whole crops are collapsed, so there is nothing left into this. So we urge the national government to consider the resource county so that they can intervene with international organizations so that they should be able to support the people of the resource up to today. Because right now I'm speaking, some people they don't have the shelter, some people they don't have food, some people also the snake bite is very serious between people, and we now have more about 4 people are dying yesterday because of the snake bite, and 6 are not admitted in hospital. So this is a very serious case, and it is a result of the flood. So we request the government of South Sudan to intervene for the people of the Wool South and see the problem of the water in the Wool South. Every year, Wool South has effective water. So I require South Sudan to see the mechanism or what is so-called water management system into the Wool South. Thank you very much.
The chairperson of the State of Relief and Rehabilitation Commission, Dominic Kang, said the government and certain actors ought to cooperate in order to address the disaster.
We came to a place called Yangai, going to Majangoy, One Mox and Pantho, all affected by floods, and even many houses marched into the water. And now you see the crops all are destroyed by heavy rain, and even the flood also flushed out from the river. We need urgent interventions from the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and even also the government of the Republic of South Sudan to assist people of Wool South County, and the same thing also to other 5 counties in northern Barkazal states.
The water flow rate into Awil increased by the hour, forcing many houses to collapse. For SSBC News, Mario Suleiman.
Parliament listened to a report from the Governance and Infrastructure clusters on the 2022-2023 fiscal year budget. The clusters further observed lack of outturned and expenditures in the year 2022-2023 budget. The infrastructure cluster observed that oil funds for road projects are not released regularly to the Ministry of Roads and Bridges. In a statement, the chairperson of the Assembly's Standing Specialized Committee on Finance, Jankot Bichok, recommended implementation of civil servants and organized forces new salary structure in the year 2022-2023 fiscal year budget. He said the committee will compile reports of all clusters before submitting to the plenary for second reading next week.
Going through all the different categories of the budget, where you have the salaries, the goods and services, the expenditure and capitals. So all those are part of the budget that's being discussed by the Parliament, including the priorities that the government set. Those are the priorities that the government wants to do according to the National Development Strategy, because all those things that those spending agencies has to do, they should match with the National Development Strategy.
The Inspector General of Police, General Manyaga Kate Malok, met with officials from the Sudanese Ministry of Interior, led by General Abdelmenem Mohamed, in Juba on Wednesday. Speaking to SSBC, General Abdelmenem said they discussed activating previous agreements, such as those related to traffic police, criminal investigation department, and exchange of criminals. The Deputy Inspector General of Police, General Thomas Jal Thomas, thanks the Sudanese police for supporting the unified forces with logistics.
هذه الزيارة تأتي في إطار البيت الواحد باعتبار أنه دولة جنوب السودان تقدمت خطى السلام في عملية السلام، والحمد لله يمكن ما شاهدناه خلال الاحتفال الذي تم بالأمس يؤكد ذلك. وفي إطار التعاون والتبادل بين الدولتين أو الشرطة في جنوب السودان وسلطة السودان، تبحثنا في سبل تبادل الخبرات بين الشرطة في البلدين.
ونحن شاكرين ومقدرين لدولة السودان ولرئاسة الشرطة بالتحديد الدعم الكبير اللي قدموا لنا. جيش الشعب جنوب السودان وجيش الشرطة جنوب السودان. نشكر الشعب السوداني ونشكر الشرطة السودان والسياسيين في السودان.
The conditions of the flood affected in Twitch State During the visit, the county authorities briefed Governor Leo on the challenges facing the community that include poor roads and lack of health services. Daniel Marengwek reports.
The purpose of the visit of Governor Lewa Yenya to Twitch County was to acquaint himself with the humanitarian situation of the flood-affected persons. While in the area, Governor Lewa Yeng was briefed by the county authorities on the challenges facing the community that include floods, poor roads, and lack of health services.
I want you to unite. This unity will not help you. I understand what being quarrel of initiatives. Not even here among you. We need to take lead and sit together to think on how to unite. Women, if you want to be rich, please embark on cultivating crops like rice in the flood season. You will see women to provide feeding and school fees for your children.
Governor Leo also conducted a series of meetings with women and kids on their role in promoting peace with their neighbors.
We have set today to discuss our leadership as women in this area. This is the beginning of unity. We need to formulate the structure of our leadership to guide us in our activities.
In a separate development, Governor Lewa Yeng arrived in Juba on Wednesday ahead of the cattle raiding and migration-related conflict conference in Juba this week. The conference, organized by the National Ministry of Livestock and Fisheries in collaboration with partners, is expected to draw together the state and national ministers, state governors, and partners to review and explore solutions to tackle cattle raiding and migration-related conflicts in South Sudan. Dem Marengwek, SSBC News, Juba.
The Deputy Governor of Western Barkazal State, Zachariah Joseph Garang, and Security Committee assessed the damages incurred in Jui River County as a result of torrential rains that displaced thousands. Addressing the communities, Zachariah Joseph said they are working with relief organizations to support the flood-affected persons with shelter and medicine to reduce the incidence of waterborne diseases.
التقرير الموجود قدامي ده التقرير ده والكلام بتاع الوزير بتاع الزراعه تقرير انه ونال بتاع الصحه ده بيوري انه في خطوره هيحصل هنا هذا لانه ده بعدين هيكون ده مثلا صعب جدا هيكون في التلوث بتاع البيئه امراض هيكون كثير جدا هيكون في جو لانه ما في انتاج وهيكون ما في مدارس لانه في مدارس وقع ونحن برضه دايرين نعتمد على انفسنا نحن كابناء بتاع ولايه غربي بحر غزال ما حنخلي كلام ده للمنظمات براو وما حنخلي كلام ده للحكومه بتاعنا عندنا اولاد بتاعنا خيرين اولاد قويين بيقدروا يساعدونا برضه عشان احنا نجي نساعدكم.
The government of Western Equatorial State commemorated the achievements of a freedom fighter, Paul Ali Butala, who died in 1998. The late Paul Ali was one of those who are associated with the Taurid uprising in 1955. Deng Dud has more in the following report.
In the correction services, different communities shown their cultural dances, sheep, students, and all organized forces participate in the event. Addressing the gathering, Acting Commissioner of Marudi County described the late Butala as hero and applauds the communities participating in the commemorations event.
فقال بتاعه في معنى انه كله واحد 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 في كل حاجات اللي بقينا نعمل عليها في الميدان ده كوميشنر بتاعنا بيقول انه ياكو ومعنينا كله في حاجات دي فده رساله بتاع كوميشنر بتاعنا علينا ما يوم بتاع كلام جمال كثير ده يوم بتاع حاجه واحد بس انه نحن جايين نذكر بطل بتاعنا علي بودالا.
The member of Legislative Assembly in Western Equatorial State, Rizik Kamis, has the people of Marudi County to conduct the commemoration service annually to update the young generation.
أنا أتكلم كثير قدامي حتى الموضوع بتاع المدرسة محتاج معلمين مدربين كويسين عشان يجيبوا الجيل يكون جيل ناجح في المستقبل. من المفترض المعلمين دول يدخلون في المعهد.
The commander of Division 6, Manyang Kalkon, described late fall Ali Botala as founder of Fanyanya 1. He added that all South Sudanese should come and join the family of Botala in the commemoration.
وأنا بحكي لكم أزول ده اللي بيشوفوه نايم تاك هناك ده بالنسبة للجنوبيين ده ما زول سايد، ده زول حقق الهدف، ده زول مناضل، هو أول رئيس بتاع الحركة السابقة بتاع يناير. هم الجافة ده والفشل ده هتشوف ده شنو بيحصل.
While Shafir Ali Butala, the family representative, calls upon President Salva Kiir to visit Maridi County for officially opening the grave of late Butala for public utilization, says the schools among the other facilities in the late Butala palace.
رسالة بتاعتنا ازاي رئيس الجمهورية خليه في سنة الجاية ده هنعمل الاحتفال اللي جوا هناك، نعمل الاحتفال كان بعد خليه يفضل لنا محل بيوم اللي بيكون فوقه أن نكون بيلي جوا هناك بالاحتفال بتاعهم رئيس الجمهورية.
In the commemoration services, Shafir Ali Tola donated £6 million for the renovation of the grave compound and 100 mattresses for Maridi Hospital. Reporting for SSBC, Deng Dudeng, Maridi County.
That finally brings us to the end of this news hour. Thank you for tuning in tonight. On behalf of the team, I am Bakita Kudiga. I'm saying bye-bye for now and stay tuned for more coming up.